Hello everybody, Chris Samartage, Brotherhood of Light Show, current YouTube channel. And this week we're going to continue with our psychedelic music series, and we're going to review two Hendrix Experience Blu-rays. So let's get on with the show. So here's the show. Jimi Hendrix Experience Electric Church, live in Maui, Blu-ray video review. These two Blu-rays are the most current releases from Experience Hendrix, which is John McDormand is the video director, producer, and Jimi Hendrix. And so we're going to get on with the show here. We're going to do these two particular shows, and we'll start with a little bit of Jimi Hendrix history. And also, Eddie Kramer is the audio engineer on both these, so he's part of the team that produces these things. And hopefully you're going to enjoy the show. Let's check it out. All right, just to bring everybody back in time a little bit, this is Jimi Hendrix's first album, Are You Experienced, up here in the top left. And my buddy Dave Anderson and I watched these videos, and we went over and we have our opinion out. Dave is probably one of the biggest Hendrix collectors I know, and one of the most knowledgeable guys when it comes to different albums and different releases and what was on them and what's the best recording, stuff like that. So I started out in 1967 listening to KSAN radio or KMPX. I can't remember which radio station they were at that point, but with Tom Donahue, and I heard this album, Are You Experienced? And I soon went out. I had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I used to buy these reel-to-reel albums, which are up here in the right corner, where you get a reel-to-reel with about a 1/4 inch of tape on it, and it has the album cover in this box. It's about this big, and the tapes come, and you run it on your reel-to-reel player like you'd spin it on a turntable. So that's how I used to listen to back then. And now Dave heard this album, or the greatest hits, in 1968 in Malaysia when he was over there. His dad was working for Pan Am at the time, and he was going to high school over there. It was all over. The Hendrix was all over the world, and he was hearing the UK release. So I just thought I'd bring that up. There's Hendrix's first 3 records here, which are all classics, but I'm going to show you Dave's collection coming up next. So here's a picture I took of Dave's collection a few years back, or a few years ago. And as you can see, he's pretty much got the whole catalog, and the only one that was missing was this West Coast Seattle Boy, which I own, and we listened to the DVD on that, which is interesting. It has a narration by Bootsy Collins, and he's somewhat reading Hendrix's letters that he wrote to his father. But then there's a lot of freelancing dialogue in there. But anyway, that was interesting. But anyway, here's Dave's collection. So now Dave and I are going to give you, I'm going to give you Dave's opinion and my opinion on the DVDs and Blu-rays that have been released through the Experience Hendrix people. So we're going to start out with the Monterey Pop Festival Hendrix, which is a classic document of Jimi Hendrix's first performance in the United States, where he burns the guitar, which you can see on the cover. And I really believe, well, everybody's seen this, and it's great. Check it out. And I really believe he created theatrical rock and roll industry at this one performance by showboating, burning his guitar, and just playing like a madman, and it created him as a national sensation at that point. And the second one is released by these guys like maybe 10 years ago, is this Jimi Hendrix in Woodstock 2-disc. And so what you've got here is you've got the Jimi Hendrix that the New York film crew with the 16 millimeter filmed. And then you've got a freelance guy showed up, a college guy with a black and white video camera, which was very rare in those days to have that. And he recorded, like sitting on the corner of the stage, the whole Hendrix performance. So the difference is you got two. You got the one with the black and white, and you got one with the color 16 millimeter. And the 16 millimeter, what happens is maybe the guy that's filming him play guitar runs out of film because they only hold 15 minutes of film, or 5 minutes, some of the cameras. And then you switch to a close-up of his face. So there's a lot of cuts due to the fact that they're just switching reels of film all over the place. But they do have the complete performance, which is great, from Woodstock, which is amazing. And then the black and white one is more concentrated on Hendrix. I actually kind of like it a little more better, even though the quality isn't as good. You really see Hendrix playing and just standing there. And they do cut some of the color stuff into it where his video camera had problems. But it's pretty cool. And then there's Jimi Plays Berkeley. Now we watched that. We watched Woodstock. And Jimi Plays Berkeley's good. It felt like the performances were cut a little short, and maybe because they ran out of film here or there, and the film crew was kind of amateur. Their shots were not the greatest. They were a little shaky, a lot of handheld stuff. So, but it's been the great document of Jimi Hendrix's performance in the 70s. But now we're going to go and review these two latest ones that have been released. So here is the actual covers. There's the Blu-ray Electric Church, and there's Jimi Hendrix live in Maui. And these are the actual covers of the products you'd buy. And now what McDermott and Janey and Kramer have done with these is they've made a documentary about the event and then they have the concert tagged on to the end of it. So we've all seen Jimi Hendrix in Atlanta on July 4th, video or on VHS or even DVD. But this has interviews previous to that, and then it has the actual concert, which is a great concert. And then you've got Maui, which is kind of making up for the disastrous Rainbow Bridge concert, and tells the story of that whole chapter on Hendrix's performance in Maui. So we're going to do Electric Church, and then we're going to do the Live in Maui review. Okay, so they released this, Experience Hendrix released it as a film back in 2015. And there's posters for the movie, the debut or whatever. And it's based on the Pop Festival, Atlanta Pop Festival, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th of 1970. Here's the poster, the actual poster from the festival. You can see Jimi Hendrix is on the left there, on the bottom. And he was the headliner for the July 4th. And so it's going to cover, basically you're going to get a documentary about the festival. Now, they also released an album or a CD called Freedom, which is the concert from this, which was, I'm sure, enhanced by Kramer's engineering. So this was a double release. It was this film on Blu-ray, and it was a disc, CD, that was released. So what you get is about a 20-minute documentary about Atlanta Pop, showing the promoter, the police, the governor of Georgia, and it kind of encapsulates the time when things were a lot different back then. And you've got the band is Mitch Mitchell on drums and Billy Cox on bass and Jimi Hendrix, and there are supposedly 500,000 people there. And the documentary is footage that was locked up in the guy's barn for years because he just released the Hendrix. We've all seen, or a lot of people have seen the Hendrix from Atlanta Pop, but now they finally edited. They interview some one of the Robinson brothers from the Black Crowes, and Derek and Susan Trucks, and some other people, some just people that went to the festival, people that lived in the town. It's pretty interesting. And then they just cut loose with the performance. We'll get into the set list next. So here is the back of the disc, and you can see the set list there, and the film, the Hendrix portion is all in color, if you haven't seen it, and it's the full concert, including, let's see, we got Red House, a really good version of Red House. There's some of the Room Full of Mirrors was kind of a chopped up, edited piece. Freedom was one of the newer songs, which is cool. It's on there. Stone Free is a classic. He does a great lead solo on there, so that's really good. And then the Star Spangled Banner with the fireworks show in the background, really amazing. They were able to capture that. So this is really a good piece. If you want to see a color Jimi Hendrix movie, it's excellent. I just think when they go to 4K, they're going to be able to even enhance the 16 millimeter film better than they did on this particular Blu-ray. But other than that, this thing is great. So highly advise getting this one and checking it out if you're a Hendrix fan. So here we got the Jimi Hendrix live on Maui, and this is kind of tells the story of the ill-fated Rainbow Bridge movie, which is a center poster right there. And I did a review on the Rainbow Bridge movie and about the Rainbow Bridge album soundtrack. And I mentioned that the movie, which was kind of a travelogue of, was kind of murky and like not very good quality, but then the performance in the movie was kind of better quality. And what I realized from watching this documentary was that they had Warner Brothers had brought in really good, like 35 or large format film cameras to film the performance of Hendrix. So the quality of the performance itself is much better than the rest of the Rainbow Bridge movie. The Rainbow Bridge movie was I had a copy on VHS and I had it on DVD, and it was kind of murky. This is super high quality, really great stuff. The documentary is great. It's got all kinds of people that were either in the Rainbow Bridge movie or at the concert or driving buses and collecting people to come up to this meadow here and see the show. And it was Mitch Mitchell and Billy Cox and Jimi Hendrix playing, and Warner Brothers filmed it. And so it's really great. It's kind of a really cool time capsule. It's sort of, and it has a lot of people that are still around that remember Rainbow Bridge, and then it talks about Chuck Wynn, the guy who made it, who's kind of like just in a different planet as far as his idea of a Jimi Hendrix movie or documentary, and it just explains a lot of what happened with the Rainbow Bridge situation. Now let's get to the concert next. So here is a picture of the setting up above Makawao, and there's Hendrix and those guys playing, and the stage set up, and this audience that they had dragged up in buses and word of mouth, probably like 200 to 300 people. And up above here on the right is the actual package. You get, if you buy this thing, you'll get on the right is the DVD that I'm talking about, the documentary with the remaining concert footage. And then you get the two discs, the orange and the purple disc there, which are the full concert CD. And it's pretty good. The vocals are a little rough because there was all this wind, and you can see the microphones were covered with foam rubber because it was so windy up there on the side of the volcano. But the film itself, so then the second half of the DVD or the Blu-ray is the actual concert, and it's just incredible. The enhancement that they did on the Blu-ray is fantastic. it's super high resolution. Hendrix is playing incredible on the thing. He's just so happy. I've never seen him like smiling and jamming, and he's always smiling in the footage, and it's just great. I mean, it's amazing how much better it is than Rainbow Bridge. It's actually one of my new favorite live Hendrix performances. When you look at this Blu-ray, the only problem is that they don't have entire songs. They do have some, but not all. So you might be watching like Easy Rider, and then it'll just go to a still, and you'll hear the second half of the song because they ran on a film or whatever. But overall, it's really great. They really salvaged everything they could and made a really good documentary out of this thing. So here's the back of the disc, and you can check out the set list there. Now, I'm going to just talk about what I thought were the highlights from the audio and the video. I thought Hey Baby, it does two versions of it, was really a great song. It kind of has a Hawaiian volcanic sunset vibe to it. Hey Baby, New Rising Sun is the name of the song. And then Jam Back at the Home is really good. That's a really great little, I think one of the better cuts off this. And then you've got Easy Rider, and you've got Good Red House. Dolly Dagger's cool. So, and then you got your standard Foxy Lady and Purple Haze and Fire and all that stuff. Spanish Castle Magic, which were just constant songs he played at every show. I got Lover Man and Message to Love. So there's some great stuff on here, and I just think it's one of the better DVD things that have come out from Experience Hendrix. I highly recommend getting it. It's really good, and you can get a good price on it now. It comes all in one package, and you get the 2 discs plus the DVD or Blu-ray. So it was reasonable. And so Dave and I both think that this was the best of all of them that we've seen. And we think Atlanta is second, and then we'd say Woodstock is also really good, the black and white version especially. And then, of course, the Monterey is great. And then the Jimmy Plays Berkeley comes in last. And then, of course, the Bootsy Collins DVD from West Coast Seattle Boy is kind of, it's okay. It's just kind of weird because you're hearing Bootsy pretend like he's Jimi Hendrix, and sort of, and it's kind of odd. But it's still pretty cool. It's a good attempt. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you guys next time. So check it out.